the meeting of the Lyon County Board of County Commissioners. Agenda action will be taken on all items unless otherwise noted. No action will be taken on any item until it is properly agendized. To avoid meeting disruptions, please place cell phones and beepers in the silent mode or turn them off during the meeting. The board reserves the right to take items in a different order to accomplish business in the most efficient manner. Items may be combined for consideration and items may be pulled or removed from the agenda at any time. Restrictions on comments by the general public. Any such restrictions must be reasonable and may restrict the time, place, and manner of the comments, but may not restrict comments based upon view. Board of Commissioners convening as other boards. Members of the Board of County Commissioners also serve as the Liquor Board, Central Lyon Vector Control District Board, Mason Valley Mosquito Abatement District Board, Walker River Weed Control District Board, Willow Creek General Improvement District Board, the Silver Springs General Improvement District Board, and during this meeting may convene as any of those boards as indicated on this or a separately posted agenda. Note, this meeting may break between 11:30 and 1:30 for lunch. Roll call, Commissioners Jacobson, Keller, Kendricks, and myself are in chambers. Commissioner Hockaday is on Zoom. So we'll now go to the invocation. Today's invocation will be given by someone near and dear to me, my sister Irene Albritton. So go ahead, Irene.
Thank you. Good to be with y'all today. Excuse me. Let's pray. Gracious God, we thank you for this day and for all the opportunities it affords. We ask your blessing on this meeting and on the leaders gathered here in their shared mission and commitment to serving the people of Lyon County. Grant them insight into the issues before them and a sense of cooperation that best serves the one dependent on their leadership. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Mr. Jacobson, do you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to go to the first public participation meeting. It is anticipated that public participation will be held at this time, though it may be returned to at any time during the agenda. Citizens wishing to speak during public participation and ask to state their name for the record and will be limited to 3 minutes. The board will conduct public comment after discussion of each agenda action item, but before the board takes any action. Do we have any public comment in the chambers?
Morning.
Thank you. Please introduce yourself and you have 3 minutes.
Yes, Leslie Sine, representing the Citizens to Protect Smith Valley. And I just want to make a couple of comments about the Western Solar Plan, the final plan. I know it came out Friday, a lot of pages. I've spoken with Mr. Haskin. Obviously, nothing could get on the agenda for today because of the timing. And so he said he's looking at later in the month. And Mr. Drew, your consultant still needs to review it. But obviously, we in Smith Valley won't know what you're going to be considering or will be considering until that time. So we're just here to encourage you to continue protesting and submitting comments on the final report. On a quick review, we're still working through it. It doesn't seem like BLM listened to anything NACO had to say, Lyon County had to say, or community members had to say on a lot of our shared concerns. They expanded the transmission line proximity from 10 miles to 15 miles with a different energy load because experts asked them to, without any regard to the affected communities. There's still zero buffer. And so many residences, probably throughout Nevada, but in Smith Valley for sure, have approved solar areas up to their residential property lines. And water, of course, is still a critical issue. Our valley is not degraded land. Certainly will be if solar comes in. It's absolutely crazy that throughout Nevada, land increased from 8 million acres to 12 million acres, making us the #1 state, taking the brunt of it, with Utah being the closest at 5 million acres. Big disparity there. This is not thoughtfully sited solar application areas. It's a green light for mass destruction of our diverse desert. The amount of acreage will lead to solar sprawl with a spider web of transmission lines wrapping our rural communities. There's plenty of room in Nevada for appropriately sited solar in areas that make sense, but they're not listening to local input, just solar companies seeking financial gain. We're hoping that there will be a pushback from NACO to protest this and even possibly discussion of litigation, since the issue as to whether they even have the right to do this seems to need further exploration. rural counties really need to push back on this. Solar is the one branch, solar of clean energy that does not need to rest on our backs. We hope that you'll take a lead in this and engage the governor to get his assistance. This whole plan reinforces my belief after everything I've been looking at the last few years that Nevada is going to become collateral damage to a toxic wasteland in the name of clean energy. They're taking advantage of our open land and our small population. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further public comment in the chambers? Don't see any online. Don't see any online, so we will close the public comment period. Action 5 for possible action, review and adoption of the agenda. Is there anybody have any changes to it, or will be good? So I'll look for a motion.
Yes, Chairman. Oh,
go ahead.
go ahead.
I move to adopt the agenda.
Chairman. I'll second that.
Is there any public comment? See none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Say nay. Passes 5-0. Item 6, presentation of awards and our recognition of accomplishments. Do we have any this morning? Nope. Okay, then we will move on to Commissioner and County Manager reports, and we will start with Commissioner Jacobson.
Thank you, Chairman Henderson. Busy couple of weeks, went to the county fair, toured that a little bit, and was nice to see we had a prison work crew out there, getting things ready to roll. So my hat's off to the sheriff, putting those folks to work in the name of public service. So that was nice. Attended the Fernley Community Foundation Fernstock fundraiser event. That was well attended, and they presented a $100,000 check to the city of Fernley for the community foundation or for the community center. So that was something else. Attended 2 Fernley City Council meetings. The one last night just kind of reinforced my belief that anytime we have to increase fees, we need to really make sure we're doing it for the right reasons and not a quick money grab. I guess that's all on that. Sheriff's Department was there, of course. Attended the debt management meeting. Mitch Foley and his crew do a great job along with the county officials, keeping us balanced budget and not paying the interest, and keeping that money going towards capital projects. So that's always good to see. At a Fernley Boys and Girls Club board meeting, attended this also last night, kind of jostled between the two, went to the Stagecoach Advisory. Want to thank Stagecoach Advisory Board, Charlie and Amanda especially, for putting that on. Kind of a candidate night, and appreciated the folks that were in attendance there. And finally, just want to wish everyone a reflective and grateful day on September 11th as we recognize Patriots Day. That's all I have, Chairman Henderson.
Thank you. Mr. Keller?
Yeah, I attended a meeting with the Lieutenant Governor's office for input on one of their BDRs. I also met with the director of NDOT, working on our collaboration with them moving forward. I attended the NACO General Board meeting. The NACO Legislative Committee was postponed till October because of the September meeting. Attended the National Association of Counties Agricultural and Rural Affairs Committee. And one of the main things on that this year is going to be about water across the U.S. And one of the big things that we're going to be talking about is the financial challenges that we're going to have because of the increased regulations that are put down in rural communities. So hopefully we can get something at Washington moving forward on that. I attended the NACO RAC Rural Action Caucus. And the chairman's priorities this year are to increase ability to obtain homeowners insurance due to disasters, inaccurate 2020 census, which all rurals seem to have the same problem with that. Deploying rural broadband and passing new long-term farm bill reauthorization. They're all those committees are asking for questionnaires right now. I haven't received them yet about what's important to Lyon County and the state of Nevada. So we'll be filling those out so we can talk more about stuff there. One of the big things was the fires all across the West and how to solve that problem. And I think the West, the ranchers and stuff, I agree with them. Do more grazing, do more active stuff on it, where everybody else is just trying to protect a spotted owl that can fly from one tree to another. And I did bring up the fact that we have to breathe in all that the fire. So also attended the NACO West region meeting, the Farm Bureau, the event they had in Fallon. I think that's it.
That's quite enough. Commissioner Hendricks.
I also met with the NDOT director to continue the discussion of what's needed on Highway 50, both through Dayton and Mound House. Met with Taylor Allison and Sheriff Pope to get updates on what's happening in their departments. Attended the Carson Water Subconservancy District meeting, the NACO Public Lands and Natural Resources Board meeting. Attended the Farm Bureau event in Fallon. Attended the NNDA Business, Energy, and Industrial meeting yesterday. Attended the Dayton Valley Conservation District meeting. And last night, a very spirited Dayton Advisory Board meeting.
Okay. Looks like Commissioner Hockaday has dropped off. Actually, you guys outshined me this time. I don't really have much to report. I didn't go to NACO because I transferred that, and other meetings I had were either canceled or rescheduled for next month. So I really don't have much to report. So we will go to our county manager.
Good morning, Andrew Haskin, Lyon County Manager. Several things to update you on this morning. So first is that I did get our bill draft request submitted to the Legislative Council Bureau. So we're waiting to hear back from them on the next steps as far as getting a draft written up. So look forward to working on that. Attended a meeting with the Department of Business and Industry. The department was on their annual round rural tour, and so met with the director and the deputy director of business and industry. I'm just talking about a little bit about their department and what they do and kind of their priorities moving forward. So that was a really good meeting, and look forward to continuing conversations with them. A lot of people don't know they're actually the largest department within the state, so it's kind of interesting that they oversee a lot. I had a follow-up meeting with the director of the Nevada Division of Outdoor Recreation. I'm going to continue those conversations, taking a look at some different outdoor recreation issues within the county and see how we can work to better that situation. So stay tuned for that. I attended the Northern Nevada Development Authority breakfast. The topic of discussion was power infrastructure, and it's very interesting. So really good there. On the next agenda, you will be seeing, I believe it'll be the next agenda, if not the one immediately after, but our goal is the next agenda, public defender contracts. And so for the Walker River contract. So that should be, as I said, next meeting moving forward. So we're excited about that. Did want to give the board an update. I sent a comment letter to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service regarding the draft 2024 bi-state sage grouse action plan. I always try and get those letters in front of you. However, we just didn't have enough time with the comment period and everything. I pretty much got notice that morning that it was due. So we submitted that, and I will be putting an item on the next agenda just to kind of update you on what we submitted. But I think the comments were really good. Jeremy Drew put that together from RCI. On that note, I'm working with RCI on a response for the proposed updated Western Solar Plan. As mentioned earlier, so the maps have come out and everything, and it's pretty interesting. As was mentioned, they didn't really listen to any of our comments, so we'll be putting together a response on it. And then just wanted to give everyone a heads up that every commissioner that had requested to be registered for the Nevada NACO conference, those registrations have been taken care of. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Any questions? Mr. Jacobson?
Yes, thanks, Vice Chair Henderson. Is it Vice Chair today or is it
I have no-
Chair?
It's what?
Chair, he's acting chair, so chair. All right. I don't want to be inappropriate. So there might be an opportunity on September 11th. I know it's not a great timing. I want to say 11 o'clock in Fernley. There's a group of assemblymen going to be at Fernley City Hall listening to concerns from City of Fernley and Lyon County. That might be a chance for us to voice some opinion to a gathered audience about the solar. So
Excellent. I wasn't aware of that. So after the meeting, if we can connect.
yeah, and then if you want that earlier that day, there's a 9/11 ceremony at 9 o'clock at the out of town park. So you could kill two birds with one stone. But there will be an audience there, definitely for I believe there's 5 assemblymen going to be there.
Perfect. Thank you. All right.
Thanks. Commissioner Hockaday has rejoined us. Can we unmute him? And Mr. Hockaday, are you there?
It's sketchy. The signal's in and out, so that's why I'm really not saying a lot, but I am listening as best I can.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
I'm near Lovelock, so it's really a bad signal.
okay. Well, do you have anything you want to report, or are you just going to drive?
No, I'm just going to drive. I'll make it up next meeting.
Okay.
I was going to say, Chairman Hockaday, the Sheriff's Department is here listening to you speak on your cell phone while you're driving, so.
Bluetooth.
It's on Bluetooth, buddy.
I'm just kidding you.
Honest, it is.
I know.
All right.
I'll turn myself in.
Okay. All right. Moving along to item 8, elected officials reports. Do we have any elected officials like to make a report? Seeing none, we'll go to appointed official reports. Item number 9, any appointed officials?
Good morning. I'm Gavin Anderson, Lyon County Regional Observer. Just wanted to provide an update with regards to our planning commission members. So we have 4 members of the planning commission. That's Carticel, Shannon Sarasola, Constantine Kuzmicki, and Michael Carson, all of which with their terms in the very course of this year. So I just want to let the board and the public know that those interested in applying to serve on the planning commission, whether they're new applicants or the existing commission members, must submit their application to the county manager's office by 5 o'clock on October 18th. Those applications will be posted online. There'll also be a public notice issued out as well prior to that. Those completed applications can be submitted through email to Ms. Erin Lopez or mailed or dropped off in person to the county manager's office. Located here at 27 South Main Street, Yerington, Nevada. Applications that are mailed, I do want to note that they must be received prior to the agenda posting on the meeting for that meeting we held on November 7th. That being said, I just wanted to update the board with that.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Yeah, I have one. What was the deadline again for application?
October 18th.
October 18th.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. We have any other appointed officials? Okay, moving on to item 10, advisory board reports. Do we have any reports from an advisory board? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 11, the consent agenda. Action will be taken on all items. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and may be acted upon by the Board of County Commissioners with one action and without an extensive hearing. Any member of the board or any citizen may request that an item be taken from the consent agenda, discussed and acted upon separately during this meeting. Does any commissioners have anything they'd like to pull off? County manager? Any member of the public? Seeing none. Is there any public comment on the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'll look for a motion.
Move that we approve the consent agenda items 11A through 11O.
A second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Big consent agenda. Okay, moving on. The regular agenda, item 12A. For possible action, approve a request for an abandonment of access easements as granted on land map 91338. The easements are situated between assessors parcel numbers APNs 015-365-01, 02, 03, 04, and 015-045-01 in Stagecoach. The access easements will be replaced with the easements included in the Iron Valley Estates subdivision.
Good morning. Give
Go
us
ahead.
just a second to get the PowerPoint up.
Yes, we gotta have PowerPoints.
Lisa Nass, Senior Planner for the record. Okay. Good morning, everyone. So today this is to discuss the Lucas Homes and Development LLC access easement abandonment. I hope you can see this okay, but this is the attachment, the map that goes with the legal description for the abandonment. And what I want to start with is these easements were originally created on land map 91338 in 1985. Since this time, the new subdivision has had a tentative subdivision approval, and they're in the process of submitting their first final map. And in order to submit for their first final map for phase 1A, 1B, and 2 in this area, they need to abandon some access easements that are surrounding the old properties. So on this map, the highlights in yellow are the old easements that were a 30-foot easement surrounding each property for access. And you can see it does not include Carolyn Way or Lee Guard. And the green sections are showing where those roads and those easements, they're going to remain. There's no change to the roads. There's no change to access plan at all in this area. So this is really an administrative cleanup. Normally that should have been done at the tentative map stage and was overlooked. So now we need to bring it to a hearing. On this map, this is the plat they filed and is currently under review for a final parcel map to be approved. And the highlighted are the roads. So it's kind of hard to see, but to the very far left, that's the portion of Carolyn Way that's going to remain. And the larger one coming down through the center, north-south, is Lee Guard. So those are not being changed in any way. Those easements are not being affected. And then you can see where the new roads are being added. One of the conditions to approve their final subdivision map is to dedicate these access easements, and that'll be done in that process. And if these easements weren't properly dedicated for the roads, then the final subdivision map wouldn't be approved. So I'm gonna go back. I want to emphasize one more time. The existing roads, the existing access that affects the residents out there currently are not being affected in any way whatsoever. Each of the new lots that are being proposed, and you can see the small ones for phase 1A here, they will have their own easements that are required under county and state statutes. So this affects nothing to the surrounding properties and is really an admin cleanup. So there was some confusion, which is why there was late backup provided to you. And thank you, Commissioner Hendricks, for pointing out there was an error in the legal description. So that was changed and you now have the current backup. And as such, I've updated a motion for you here that has the proper language, doesn't include a 60-foot, which is confusing because it's 30-foot on each property and it not 60-foot everywhere. So kind of talked around it. I hope I didn't use anything. Please ask me any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? Commissioner Jacobson?
Thank you. Thank you for that description. I think we probably all received some correspondence from people concerned about access in and out, especially regarding Lee Garden. So, and then I guess this came up as a concern last night at the Stagecoach Advisory about the amount of time that the folks were noticed, and did the advisory board have access to this in time to get it agendized for their advisory board to discuss it?
I know these were sent out well more than 2 weeks in advance and
Okay.
and something different in this case. Normally we send out a larger mailing that is sent out via regular mail. This kind of abandonment per NRS code requires certified mail to every adjacent property owner here. So it was sent out certified mail more than 2 weeks in advance. And as we all know, there's lots of problems with mail right now. We can't control that, but it was.
All right.
No.
I was just bringing up a concern that was there. All right. Thank you.
Well, and last thing is we try to get things done in advance for the advisory boards, but our schedules and making meetings don't always jive perfectly. So I also don't agendize anything. It's up to the applicant to agendize, and if they didn't,
Right on.
I
No,
apologize.
all good. No, thank you.
Anything else?
I just got a
Commissioner
question, maybe a teaching moment for me.
Sure.
If we were going to, because some of the complaints that were brought, if we were gonna abandon a road that they were using right now and that was gonna be replaced by a different road or something else later, how does that work on the abandonment? Is it usually done in conjunction? I'm trying to get the paperwork done. So where you don't abandon something till another one comes in?
No, there's a couple different things. If it is a right of way, a road abandonment, and access easement, it can't be done without a public hearing. So it has to be agendized, it has to be noticed, and if they had done it normally during a tentative map stage, the motion would have had to also include approve the tentative subdivision map and abandonment of easements. It would have to be specifically called out and held at a hearing. And it would have gone through the planning commission and the board. Since this is being done separately as its own, it comes directly to this board, doesn't go to planning commission. That's how it's set up currently.
So the accesses would have been addressed at the planning commission and the board at a different thing.
And if this had been more than an administrative cleanup of maps, and maybe in the future, I'll take this as a learning moment too. We'll try to be more in advance and make sure everybody has more information earlier so we can explain it and possibly attend the cab. I was at the Dayton last night, so I couldn't attend Stagecoach, but we will try to do better in explaining this in advance. This isn't a road abandonment, so it seemed more administrative and a little simpler, but I recognize the confusion to the public.
Yeah, it causes stress to the public and it was just over a simple misunderstanding. And so we don't want to do that if we can help it. Thank you.
Understood, and we'll make a note of that.
Okay. I don't have any questions, so we'll move on to public comment. Any public comment on this item, please step to the podium. Oh, and we have Mandy Bernan online. So we can unmute her. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Amanda Bernand. I would just like to say that I think the communication fell apart on this one. The advisory board was not notified of this 2 weeks ago. I actually monitored that email and I just looked back through it, and we were not aware of this. I'm not sure if everybody knows of the history of this development, but the community is very interested on anything that occurs in this area, and we're watching closely. And the advisory board wasn't even aware of it. We kind of felt like we weren't performing our function when we had residents calling us, asking us about it, and we were like, what? So I would just ask that in the future that if you just allow us to know that it's occurring and get it on our agenda, and even if you can't attend, we can still get it agendized and we can still discuss it, get accurate information. I just felt that, like I said, communication really fell apart on this. And then I do have one comment that is related to this subdivision, and that's kind of the name. I'm not sure who approves that, but there's already an Iron Mountain Ranch subdivision, Iron Mountain Ranch community out here, and the name is very confusing. A lot of people thought we were talking about the Iron Man Ranch across the highway. So just the name of this is a little bit confusing. And that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further public comment? Please state your name for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
My name is Jim Mulkey. I live at Churchill Ranchos. And I don't know what it is about this. The prior contractor that was coming in was approved the way it was. Now we got a new contractor coming in, and then we're going through all this stuff again. Why can't they leave everything the way it is? Again, the name, yeah, it was a little confusing. But Legard, it's like in Churchill Ranchos, they don't want us to drive through their brand new community. They're willing to box us in. And then again, it always comes back to this. We have a plan that was approved by y'all from Shallard. And now we got another contractor come in, and hopefully Shallard ain't associated with them, who knows. But then we start all over again. You know, sometimes it's a waste of everybody's time. Here's the plan. Here's your lots. Build your homes. Call it good. Leave everybody else alone. And like I said, the fire chief, he made his comments about that. And that's the other thing. One way in, one way out. There's too many one way in and one way outs in this county. You got Dayton Valley. One way in, one way out. That bridge goes, how many homes back in there? Trapped, fire. We've had fires right there in our little valley. Our roads ain't that wide. So it always comes down to these companies wanting to block the little guys that we've been there for years and years and years. The road has been there, and hopefully that won't change again. But, you know, it's getting a little tired. And then the 2 weeks. Some people, they go to the mill and they get the thing in there on Sunday or Saturday and can't even get their certified mail on the ones that live on Legard. So is that right? That's like say, it needs to be a lot of time. I know they're busy, but everybody else is too. We all take time off from our jobs to come here to express our feelings and the security, the safety. And has anybody ever addressed the water, our water tank from up on the hill for Churchill Ranchos? Is there enough water in that tank to feed all these other 200 homes that's going to be building? Sewage. Has anybody addressed the sewage on it? Is it going to be septic tank, or is it going to be piped like Shallard wanted to back over the top of 10 Mile Hill back into Mark Twain? My time's up.
Your time is up.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Is there any further public comment? So please step up to the podium. Okay, seeing none, we'll bring it back to staff. Anything else you want to say?
We've heard the feedback. We will attempt to do better and be more in advance of this on this project. Going
Keller?
forward.
So just because of the comments we heard, there's nothing changed with the Churchill Rancho subdivision for their access in or out. And they have both their ways in and out are still going to stay. So that's not before us.
That is
Thank you.
nothing to
I
do
just
with
want
these
to make
abatements.
sure that's clear.
Yes.
Anything else? If not, I will look for a motion.
Chairman Henderson, I'll make a motion to approve a request for abandonment of access easements is granted on land map 91338. The easements are situated between the assessor's parcel numbers APNs 015-365-01 -02 -03 -04 and 015-451-01 in Stagecoach. The access easements will be replaced with easements included in Iron Valley Estate subdivision.
Findings
Uh, Yeah, is that?
Oh, with findings, what were those? With findings A through D. Do you want me to read those in?
It's just in the conditions.
Hi.
1 and 2.
And conditions 1 and 2, yes.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Jacobson, a second by Commissioner Keller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, we move on to item 13 for the sheriff. For possible action, approve $28,291 for the installation of new safety padding in the holding room in the jail with funding to come from the public safety sales tax. Sheriff Pope.
Good morning, Lyon County Sheriff Brad Pope for the record. Currently, we have two padded cells in the jail. They both have different materials in them. One is high quality and one is not. And the one that was repaired with lower quality items has been destroyed again. While the one that was has a higher quality material in there has never been destroyed. So we would like to take the lower quality out and put the higher quality in. Currently, we call it a suicide cell, where we put people on suicide watch. It's occupied by one individual. That's the only cell we can use for that. So we have another suicidal subject. We're currently out of cells. So replacing this will give us two and much better safety padding. It's supposedly indestructible. So far, it's held up in the other cell, so we tend to believe this company and definitely needs repair.
Yeah, I can't believe board inmates would try to destroy stuff.
Yeah.
It just it amazes me. Commissioner Jacobson.
Thank you, Chairman Hockenday or Henderson. So when a inmate or someone even being held temporarily destroys something, are they assessed a fine or pay for that?
We do charge criminally, so with destruction of county property. I believe it's a felony when you're an inmate and destroy part of the facility, so.
So do we ever get money from that or? No. So we can say we fine them or we do this, but rarely, if ever, do we.
There's no recovery process.
I guess the only action then would be it stays on their record, and that would be something that would be really the only
That's the only consequence.
consequence. Okay.
Mr. Keller?
Did I hear you say there's no recovery process?
Well, none that is working. that
Right.
we're seeing
Okay.
return.
They can be fined and they're liable for it. And it can be on their, if they ever make money,
the bill, but there's no restitution to the county.
Thank you.
Anything?
Nope.
Right? Is there any public comment on this?
Russ. Get everywhere.
And as you know, state your name and you have 3 minutes.
Russ Wright, I live in Dayton. I had the privilege of going on a tour of the county jail with Commissioner Hockaday when he did his quarterly review. I urge you to approve this, but I also urge you to give the sheriff and the administrator at the jail more say in selection of items, because this is a perfect example of the cheap bid, the lowest bid being awarded, and the difference between the cell that can be used and the cell that was renovated the cheapest way possible. And I use cheap as a generous term, because the lining on the inside of the second cell, which has been rendered useless, is probably not something that you'd even put in the pickup in the bed of your pickup. So I urge not only that you approve this, but you give the sheriff more say in selection of bidded items to be used at the facility, so we don't go through this all over again. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? See none? Any further commissioner comments? And we will look for a motion.
I move that we approve $28,291 for installation of new safety padding in the holding room in the jail, with funding to come from the public safety sales tax.
Is there a second?
I'll second that, just because I'm surprised they let Russ out of the jail.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes unanimously. Item 14, Comptroller. 14A for possible action, approve a 5-year lease agreement with the Hotspot Broadband, DBA Sky Fiber Internet, for hotspot broadband to lease space at the Raw Peak Translator site. Mr. Foley.
Mr. Chair, if you could please note that Commissioner Hockaday dropped off again.
Thank you. Yeah, Commissioner Hockaday has dropped off at 9:41.
So that last vote was 4-0.
That last vote was, that's why I said it was 4-0, yeah. Mr. Foley.
Josh Foley, Lyon County Comptroller, for the record. This is one of the public safety dispatch sites that we run. We lease it from the federal government, and so they require us, if we have space, to lease it out. Of course, for a cost, to cover our costs on it, but to share that tower site so we don't have a lot of different sites. We do have space on Rock Peak. There was a request. They are currently on the state side on Rock Peak. The vendor is, but the state needs the space for their own equipment. They're expanding some of their equipment there. So they asked if they could come to our site, which is literally about as far away as we are from each other. And we do have space available for this tenant. No issues, no concerns with this.
Any comments from the commission?
Yeah.
Commissioner Keller.
So if we need the space, then what happens?
Then we do the same thing the state does and go through and terminate the lease. So just so you're aware, on Rock Peak, we have I believe it's a 70-foot tower. We have plenty of space in the tower. We have 2 buildings, one that houses all of our equipment for dispatch and for our IT network, and a separate building that houses the vendors such as this that serve the community. And so we keep them separate. They do run off of our generator and off of our power, which is part of the reason for the costs that we charge them. But if we ever came to that point and we needed that space, then we would do it. I don't foresee it. I believe our shelter has enough space currently, but that would be the process.
Okay. Anything else from the board? Is there any public comment? Seeing none, I'll look for a motion.
I like making these difficult ones. I move to approve a 5-year lease agreement with Hot Springs Broadband, DBA Sky Fiber Internet, for hotspot broadband to lease space at the Raw Peak Translator site.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Keller, second by Commissioner Hendricks. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Item 15. Emergency management. For possible action, approve an interlocal agreement between Lyon County and the city of Fernley for Lyon County Emergency Management to provide emergency management services, and the city of Fernley to provide $2,000 per year for a term of 5 years with an automatic renewal for an additional 2 years. Mr. Haskell.
Andrew Haskin, Lyon County Manager. Our emergency manager is in some training this week, so I'm filling in. I believe this was already approved by the city of Fernley, their last agendas. This is a renewal of an agreement that we had previously.
I just have one question on this, and it just automatic renewals bug me. You know, is there a reason why we can't just do 7 years? I mean, it's just, to me, it makes no sense.
That's certainly something we can take a look at in the future if we don't want to do automatic renewals.
Yeah, I think the renewals need to come back. Any other comments? Mr. Jacobson?
I just want to point out, it was actually, I believe, approved 2 meetings ago because the first fell. So they had their meeting after ours, which normally happens first, but this, I believe it was approved 2 meetings ago at the city council meeting. And Miss Allison was up there and they didn't have, there was very little to zero discussion. So I think they're grateful.
Yeah, and just so the board is aware, so counties are required to have an emergency manager, but for cities, it's optional. So the way we handle it in Lyon County is that our emergency manager, we have agreements with both cities, so our emergency manager covers.
And just for the record, at 9:46, Commissioner Hockaday has rejoined the Zoom. So any further comments, questions? Any public comment? Questions, concerns? Looking for a motion on item 15A.
I'll make a motion to, Chairman Henderson, I'll make a motion to approve and enter a local agreement between Lyon County and the city of Fernley for Lyon County Emergency Management to provide emergency management services, and the city of Fernley to provide $2,000 per year for a term of 5 years with an automatic renewal for an additional 2 years.
Second.
Okay, have a motion and a second. No further public comment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say nay.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Item 16, Human Services. 16A, for possible action, accept the grant award from the Nevada Department of Health and Human Services, Aging and Disability Services Division for FY25 in the amount of $36,000 with a county match of $5,400, and to provide services to address social isolation. Ms. Holmes.
Good morning, Dr. Holmes, Lyon County Human Services Director. For the record, this grant award is new to us. So during the COVID pandemic, we had a difficult time getting the Philips Life Alert system ordered and delivered to individuals. So it forced us to find an alternative, which happened to be this device called LEQ. LEQ not only alerts to falls and issues in the home, it actually is also an engaging device that interacts with our seniors. It does medication reminders. It can do video calls and chats to family. It will do games and trivia and different things like that to help keep them engaged. So our individuals that are living most isolated, it's a step above that Philips Life Alert. So we were able to get some of those purchased and installed for individuals during the pandemic while we were struggling with finding Philips Life Alert. And it was we had such a positive response from the community. We were able to find additional funding through this social isolation award to be able to provide more of those units out to our most at-risk and isolated seniors. And that's what this funding would be used for.
Thank you. I've just got a general question on grants, not particularly on this one. The grants always come with strings and reporting requirements, right? So does the cost to staff to comply with that, does the grant cover that?
The grants cover the requirement to do the data entry piece for individuals, identifying eligibility, approving them, in this particular situation, delivering the equipment, helping them understand it, learn it, and then going back and putting in the data entry into the system. The beauty of the Aging and Disability Services Division grants and all of these ancillary services that we utilize through our existing case managers is that the majority of our clients are already in that system and already being serviced and already having data put in. So it's just an additional service our case managers are able to offer to meet their needs better. So they're already going into that system. They're already putting in case notes. It's not an additional time constraint to our existing staff, this particular grant, and most of them through Aging and Disability Services Division work that way. It's all one database, and it's the same case managers utilizing it for the majority of the same clientele.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'd like to have a further discussion about grants with you offline sometimes. Sure. Anybody else? Questions? Any public comment on this item? None in chambers, none online. So look for a motion.
I move that we accept a grant award from the Nevada Department of Health and Human Services Aging and Disability Services Division for FY25 in the amount of $36,000 with a county match of $5,400 to provide services to address social isolation.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Hendricks, a second by Commissioner Jacobson. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? With 5-0.
Aye.
Okay, moving on to 16B. For possible action, accept the grant award from the Nevada Department of Health and Human Services, Aging and Disability Services Division for FY25 in the amount of $100,388.11 to purchase equipment for all 4 Lyon County senior centers.
Sheila Holmes, Director, Lyon County Human Services. For the record, this award is giving us an opportunity to update and provide additional equipment to our cooks in the kitchens at the senior centers. These nutrition equipment awards don't come around often, so when they do, we try to upgrade and enhance as many of our not necessarily failing, but close to failing equipment and purchase things that will make it easier for the cooks in those kitchens.
Any questions from the board? Commissioner Jacobson.
Thank you, Chairman Henderson. Ms. Holmes, so did I hear you say that the old equipment goes to auction?
It depends on the lifespan left in it, and it depends on its status. And so we would work with our facilities department to determine if it's something that's able to do that.
Okay, I didn't know if I heard that or not, so thank you.
I do have one question too on the grant. The total is $100,000. It says $64,000 of that's operating and $36,369 is for equipment. So are we really only buying another $37,000 of equipment?
Let me scroll down. Anything less than $5,000 goes into operating. Anything over $5,000 goes into equipment. It's just a determination of how that things get put in the budget and how they want to track it. So the items listed under equipment are an air-cooled ice machine and water dispenser for our Fernley Senior Center. It does not currently have one, while our other 3 do. And then blast chiller, countertop blast chillers for all 4 sites, which allows for more timely reduction of temperatures to more quickly freeze those meals and make our frozen home delivered meals. Everything else that you can see under operating on the budget page, page 5 in the backup material, commercial blenders with toggle control, Echo Lab Silver Soak pre-soak system for 3 centers. That's the stuff that's utilized to be able to wash, rinse, and sanitize, utilizing our low temperature dishwashers. Other things listed in there: thermal bags, heating units, cooling units, Oliver trays. Those are what's used for our home delivered meals. So all of those things are supplies or equipment, but they go under operating because they're less than $5,000 as an individual unit.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we weren't getting, $100,000 grant and only getting $30,000 worth of equipment out of it. So thank you for that. Okay, any public comment on this? Don't see any, so I'll look for a motion.
I move that we accept a grant award from the Nevada Department of Health and Human Services Aging and Disability Services Division for FY 25 in the amount of $100,388.11 to purchase kitchen equipment for all 4 Lyon County senior centers.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hendricks, second by Commissioner Keller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. 16C, for possible action, accept a grant award from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Administration for Community Living for FY 25 in the amount of $411,000 to provide respite services for older adults. Ms. Holmes.
Shayla Holmes, Director, Lyon County Human Services, for the record. This is the first of our 2 community project funds appropriations from the last cycle coming through. So this first one is through the account for community living, and it's for us to launch respite services and a respite program within Lyon County. It's a pilot program for us. There is possibility for us to be able to find additional grant funding through Aging and Disability Services Division, and or be able to build various insurances depending on the individuals. So we're excited to be able to launch this pilot because respite is one of the #1 concerns we hear from our individuals living with disabilities and our caregivers of those taking care of those living with disabilities and older adults, particularly living with dementia. Respite is what leads to caregiver burnout and what leads to long-term care placement, which then has impact on our Medicaid match dollars. So all of this is to help our community members stay living in their community longer and provide support to those caregivers. And with that, I'm here for any questions.
Any questions? Any public comment? See none, I'll look for a motion on 16C.
I move to accept a grant award from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Administration for Community Living for fiscal year 25 in the amount of $411,000 to provide respite services for older adults.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Keller and a second by Commissioner Jacobson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. 16D. Ms. Holmes. I gotta read it in though. For possible action, approve a contract between Lyon County and Advanced Home Healthcare and All Valley for $48,830 to provide homemaker services to individuals within the Senior Services Case Management Program.
Chairman Henderson, I believe you said 48,000.
$49,830.
Shayla Holmes, Director, Lyon County Human Services, for the record. This is a contract. We keep multiple contractors available to provide homemaker services. You guys have already accepted the Homemaker Award. It's a long-standing program that we implement to help take care of our most fragile and at-risk older adults from injury. So we provide chore services. We don't do it ourselves. We contract out. Advanced Home Healthcare, and then much like 16E that you'll see, Cowgirl Cleaning LLC, different contractors cover different parts of the county, and having multiple contractors available makes it easier for us to find quick placement and make the services happen. I'm here for any questions.
Any questions from the commission? Any public comment? See none, I'll look for a motion.
Move that we approve a contract between Lyon County and Advanced Home Healthcare and All Valley for $49,830 to provide homemaker services to individuals within the Senior Services Case Management Program.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hendricks, second by Commissioner Keller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Last but not least, possible action, approve a contract between Lyon County and Cowgirl Cleaning LLC for $49,845 to provide homemaker services to individuals within the Senior Services Case Management Program. Ms. Holmes.
Shayla Holmes, Director, Lyon County Human Services, for the record. Much like 16D, this is just an additional contract to be able to provide homemaker services throughout the county. And I'm open for any questions.
Any questions? Any public comment?
Actually, I do have it.
Commissioner Jacobson?
Ms. Holmes, for this money, about how many, do you happen to know offhand how many folks that this will help? How many different people?
We have, I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but it's about 45 existing clients. And so we're maintaining services. Grant funding hasn't gone up in many years. So what we are able to do is the more often people engage with homemaker services, the less amount of hours they need. So we're able to start reducing folks down to be able to add other individuals onto it, or as grant funding increases, we're able to add folks onto it, or as their living situation changes, we're able to adjust. But we generally are in between 42 to 47 people on our homemaker list. And then that just, fluctuates based off of their needs and living situations.
And then, does this cleaning service, do they ever go into a place and say we can't go in there?
Well, to start off with, we do have additional funds through a separate bucket that if it's like a major cleanup to make it to where you can get to that regular maintenance cleaning, we're able to do the major cleanup first and then utilize these homemaker services to do maintenance cleaning so it doesn't get back to that point. We do sometimes due to varying personalities, desires, issues with their service provider, end up with clients who are no longer able to receive the service because they've churned through all available service providers. They stop allowing them into the home, and that's their choice. They have the right to do that, but we are limited on who we're able to contract with, and we're limited on who's willing to contract at our rate. So all of our contractors contract with us at a really good rate of $25 an hour, and folks going to find a cleaning service at that rate on their own, you're not going to find it. These contractors work with us because they believe in the work that we're doing, providing the service, and understand our monetary constraints. And it's really regular and consistent work. So sometimes folks opt out of the service because of their own situations and engagement with the contractors and who's available to provide the service.
So for you said $25 an hour. So they're only sending one person into the home, I'm assuming.
Yeah, there's multiple. So each contractor has a team, sometimes bigger, sometimes smaller, depending on the contractor. And different individuals are assigned to our clients. So we work with one contractor, but they might have a staff of 5 to 10 people, depending on the size of the agency. And then different folks get assigned based off of the location. Are they a Dayton resident, Urington resident? Reduce the drive time. We don't pay for drive time. We only pay for the actual services happening within the home.
Well, that is an impressive rate. Thank you, Ms. Holmes, Dr. Holmes.
Anything else? Okay, we've already done public comments, so I will look for a motion.
Chairman Henderson, I'll make a motion to approve contract between Lyon County and Cowgirl Cleaning LLC for $49,845 to provide homemaker services to individuals within the Senior Services Case Management Program.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Jacobson, a second by Commissioner Keller. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. So, Commissioner Keller?
Yeah, I would like to thank Dr. Holmes for what she's doing publicly. It impresses me how much she does for our communities, and it's all through grants. It's she leverages the money that the very little revenue that we have, and she does it really good. She does take the time to go through everything with me personally, to where I can understand what she does in her department. It's a very hard department to understand, and she goes through it with me. And so I want to thank her for the time that she spent.
Thank you. And I realize we're almost done with the agenda, but we're going to take a quick 5-minute break. We will be back. We will recess until 10:10. It's 10:10. We're going to call this meeting back to order. Moving on to item 17A. For possible action, accept grant award from the U.S. Department of Transportation Federal Aviation Administration, FFA, for a grant of federal funds for Silver Springs Airport to install upgrading lighting on runway 6/24 in the amount of $50,090 and to authorize the county manager to sign. Mr. Haskin.
Andrew Haskin, Lyon County Manager, just noticed the typo, it should be FAA. So, yeah, previously the board.
Oh, down at the
approved,
bottom.
Me
This
to
one.
apply for grant funding for the lighting upgrade project on the runway at the Silver Springs Airport, and so we received that grant, and this is me bringing it forward to accept it.
Any comments from the commission? Any comments from the public? Seeing none, I will look for a motion.
I move that we accept the grant award from U.S. Department of Transportation, Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, for a grant of federal funds for Silver Springs Airport to install upgraded lighting on runway 6/24 in the amount of $50,000 and $50,090 and to authorize the county manager to sign.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Hendricks, second by Commissioner Jacobson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. 17B for possible action, discussion and provide direction to the county manager on the process for selecting a lobbyist for the 2025 legislative session.
Andrew Haskin, Lyon County Manager. So our previous lobbyist retired at the end of August. From associates, they were Lyon County's lobbyists for a while. And so they will not be representing us in the 2025 sessions to select. And so I wanted to get the board's input on the selection process for that, how the board would like to see that work. Douglas County just recently did a similar thing with Walker and Associates representing them as well. And so they put out this RFQ for legislative services. So we can certainly use that. I talked to Jim Davidson, Douglas County's manager, and they were good with us basically changing the name on it, and that's what we choose to do. So I did include that as a example. Kind of open process. The board is aware. I mean, the lobbyist works for the county manager. Obviously, being issues this heading.
Okay, just to educate us, what are some of the other options other than going with the RFQ?
So if we don't go with an RFQ, we could reach out to different groups and basically interview them and talk to them about that. If there's specific companies that we could reach out to, prior to doing an RFQ for this particular contracts. That just contact with somebody.
Yes. Okay.
Beyond that, I would prefer to get some kind of proposal so that we understand what conflicts are out there, because that is a big deal.
That is a big deal.
Contract. They're representing somebody that is taking an opposite stance on things that we are thinking that we might be more against. That could be a problem.
Because I mean, I personally don't mind going this route. Obviously, I do have a couple of comments about Douglas County's RFP, but I'll wait to see if we're going to go that way before I make those. So, Mr. Keller.
So I look back at what the lobbyist actually does. And so you have to build a relationship with the lobbyist. We've had a long time relationship with the Walkers. And they've done our interest. Now we're looking at somebody new, which we don't have a relationship with next right now. And when we go against, when we get a lobbyist that's already representing somebody else, they have that relationship. We don't. It seems to hurt us especially in the beginning, because we don't. They tend to pick only the ones that everybody's happy with, and not the ones that we actually need to move forward as an individual. So I would prefer to have an individual lobbyist that work under our concerns, like what they did in Carson, when they had a lobbyist that worked exactly for them under our payroll. They also put in other duties. So that was actually done under both lobbyists and I think it was something to do with the communications, I think. Okay, so it was two things that actually worked so that when they weren't actually doing lobbyist work, they actually had other stuff, duties within the county so that we could pay them a little bit more money so that we can retain them. It's for a longer period of time. Another way we could also go is I've looked at, well, I have a card here from Ben Kekeffer. I talked to him yesterday where he was, he worked for the governor's office, right? And he also state senator, and he knows that building inside and out. And he's working as a consultant to where we could bring in a consultant on the issues that we're trying to push forward. We do work with NACO right now. NACO is probably the biggest out of the bunch as far as getting the broad things through. Individual stuff, we're going to have to go with something a little more pinpoint. So I don't want to have another lobbyist that just is doing the same thing NACO does. I don't want them to be following NACO around and doing the broad stuff because that's the only thing that all the counties can agree on. So that's where that's the direction I would like to go.
Yeah, and we did, we have considered in the past that actually now, so obviously we did the budget for it. That out, but
No. Didn't we budget for lobbyist services?
we did. I so the was where Walker's hadn't raised the rates several years. The side of that.
And you know,
Likely have to take.
you remember what we budgeted?
Not off the top.
I think 50 cents up. I don't know. You think?
No, I kind of agree that I'd like to have our lobbyists work exclusively for us, not neighboring counties to where we're getting more individualized service.
Sorry. Go ahead. I'll wait.
So there are some issues that are out there right now. I probably don't want to name them right here in this meeting, but where I know directly one county is going to be not agreeing with the other county, and I know there's probably 10 bills right now in the legislature that are about that subject. So
Yeah, and I like to comment. I'm always in favor of bringing stuff in house if we can. Because A, it gives you more control, and B, you know that the employee works for the name paycheck. That's really the way it works. So I think what I would like to suggest is maybe, of course, it's up to everybody here, have you guys take a look at what it would cost to bring a lobbyist in-house, and we can get more out of it, like other duties as assigned. And I'm sure that your office could use some help.
Yeah.
You guys have a lot on your plate, so I would actually like for you guys to go take a look at if we have enough money to do that.
Okay.
If that's just me. Let me get David. Commissioner Hockaday, you have any comments?
No, I don't.
Okay.
So a lot of this stuff too takes, I mean, you could lobby for the day you start going forward. We have Drew that works with us. And you look at public lands and stuff like that, there's a bunch to learn about that we need. And so having it in-house, public lands. I'll finish after the next guy comes up.
Mr. Foley.
Josh Foley, Lyon County Comptroller for the record. I understand the board's thoughts on that. I've been listening as I've been working. One thing, just so the board is aware, is I would anticipate, and we'll have to price it out, that it's going to cost us significantly more money to do it in-house than we would to contract with someone. I realize it's at times, and we've had that with the locker, at times you have to give them direction that's different than what they're doing for other counties, or go testify yourself for certain things. But by the time we add in vehicle usage, by the time we add in meals, by the time you add in all of the ancillary charges that go with the lobbyists, my guess would be that you're probably around $50,000 a year more than if you were to contract it out. We can take a look at that. We budgeted for the contract that just expired with Walker and Associates. So regardless of what we do, we're going to be going into contingency to pay for a lobbyist on this.
Mr. Keller.
And if we do it in-house, we're going to go in, I believe, even farther, but we can price that out.
So I'm trying to look at the future, right? I think this is the direction we have to go. Getting a lobbyist that isn't going to, just to have a lobbyist, to say we have a lobbyist that isn't productive, then I just do not have a lobbyist at this point. I want to go toward the direction to where we have something to, as we grow as a county. I guarantee you, the legislature is going to come after us, especially the third largest county in the state of Nevada. We're going to be attacked in a lot of different ways, and we're going to have our eyes on a lot of different things. And other counties aren't going to have our benefit, so a little bit of money invested. I know it's going to be hard, but it might protect us down the road. So
Yeah, and yeah, I would think that if Lyon County lobbyists is in Carson City, we wouldn't be paying for meals. I don't think that's.
Yeah, we don't get to pick where they live.
I know, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that going to the legislative building shouldn't require per diem. That should just be part of their duties. If Andrew goes to.
Our travel policy includes if they're there for a certain time period during the day.
We may want to take a look at that. Okay. All right.
I'm just,
Treatment of my employees would be concerned.
No.
excuse my ignorance, but I doubt meals are gonna break the bank.
I know.
The personalized, ownership of our county is what it sounds like we're looking for. And that does come with a price, I'm sure.
I think those issues that we need to protect ourselves from are coming sooner than later too. I think we'll see it this session.
Well, I will tell you what, if this is the direction that the board would like to go in, then we can do some research, come back with a proposal, potentially at the next meeting as to what that would cost them. As a comparison. And we can see what
Just from the conversation, it seems like that's the consensus.
Okay.
You
guys.
do you need to make a formal motion? Wait, let's get public comment first. Before we do that, is there any public comment? Andy?
Andy C-Tech Stagecoach. It's been some years since I've been involved in the quoting process. Just an observation or a comment from past experience. I hope that that request is a very succinct, detailed request of what we expect of the person that will fill this role. The other, a second thing would be that it seems to me that at this level of government, and as you look around, we should have a resource out there that we can go to find out our experiences or other people's experiences and how effective their counseling has been. And the last thing, and I understand the importance of finances, but this is an issue, especially with the political situation the way it is today. We need effectiveness in that representation. So please don't make just the dollar value the top consideration when you end up picking a person. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. And just for the record, Commissioner Hockaday is no longer on Zoom. I don't know exactly when he dropped off, but he's not there. So, okay. Is there any further public comment? Okay, then somebody want to try to make a motion on this?
I'll do it. I move that we direct the county manager and the comptroller to research the cost of having an in-house lobbyist, possibly combined with another position and other duties, and bring it back to the board.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Hendricks, a second by Commissioner Keller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0.
I just wanted to make one comment. You can reach out to Carson perhaps and to find out what they already spent. I can give you Ben's card here so that you can call him up, find out what consultants run from that aspect. I think it's going to be a broad range. And so kind of think it through. There's a lot of ex assemblymen, people that are sitting on the sidelines right now that are well qualified in that building and know all the players. So I'd kind of like you.
I know in 2019, the League of Cities paid former Senator Hardy. We paid him $50,000. But we were only one of his many clients.
Right. Well, there's a difference between the consultant aspect or a lobbyist, because consultant might be going what we want for like the BDR that we put in and also give us more explanation of how we could testify. So thanks.
Okay. So let's put that one to bed. 17C for possible action. Discussion and provide direction to the county manager on the creation of a position statement or position statements regarding major highways in Lyon County. Discussion may include format and structure of a position statement, access management, and overall county goals relating to highways in Lyon County. Mr. Haskin.
Andrew Haskin, Lyon County Manager. For the record, I ran through this yesterday. It only took 2.5 hours, so bear with me. Just kidding.
I have a gavel.
All right. So this is something that I've wanted to bring forward to the board for a while, to try and get everyone on the same page, or get the board to put forward an official position on where we want to go with the highways that run through Lyon County. So for some background, the Nevada Department of Transportation is responsible for providing, operating, and preserving Nevada's highways. So while each community within Lyon County has at least one highway running through it, Lyon County is not responsible for the maintenance, construction, access to, or operation of these highways, which does create some challenges, as you know. Having an outside entity that determines all of that. NDOT controlled highways serve as the main roadway through each community in Lyon County. I actually had to change that because I had said through most of the communities, and then I was thinking about it, I was like, no, I mean, every one of our communities is pretty much the main street, not Main Street, but pretty much the main street is a highway.
Yep.
And so the county really needs to be active and involved with the planning of that with NDOT. This is a map showing some of the major highways in Lyon County. Obviously, there are more highways than this in Lyon County. But I just wanted to throw this up here and show the different communities and the different major highways. So the purpose of the highway position statement, or position statements, if the board chooses, is to have an official document adopted by the county commission that outlines the county's goals for NDOT controlled highways. So I think that's really important as we move forward, so that staff can have something that we can use to advocate for those goals. So right now, I know that NDOT has done many different presentations to the Board of County Commissioners, but I don't know that we have ever really taken an official position on some of this stuff. But, you know, they'll bring forward a plan and the board might take an official position on that plan, but it doesn't really take a look at the overall picture. It provides a unified direction for so that NDOT and Campo are not getting mixed messages. One of the things that I think is going to be critical as a part of this document is a statement in there that says that those organizations really need to be coming to the Board of County Commissioners, not the various advisory boards. So within the advisory boards, by statute and by county code, they're advisory to the county commission. It's really the county commission that needs to have that voice with the outside agencies, not the advisory. So, that's not to say that the advisory board shouldn't have the input, but their input should be to the county commission in advance of items that come forward. And then, you know, it's up to the county commission to take a look. And I get, you know, where the advisory boards are coming from. They're looking at kind of their smaller piece of the county and how the highways affect them. But the commission's job is to take a look at what the overall effect is throughout the county. So I really think that that's going to be important. And if the board decides to move in that direction, I will no longer be, as we review agendas for advisory boards, we will no longer be putting those on as agenda items. So yeah.
Just
That's a different discussion, but
yeah, but just to comment on that, I don't necessarily have a problem with NDOT and Campo going to the advisory boards, but after they've come to us. And then, so we get the presentation first, so we get to provide input to them before they would go out to an advisory board meeting.
yeah, and I mean, I think those are details that we can figure out and come up with a process on, but I still think it's very important that this board is the one that.
Oh, I agree.
That's getting that. I'll give you an example, the highway preservation project in Dayton. You know, there were some mixed messages going on there. That delayed that project by about a year. So, you know, the stoplights that are getting put in, the safety improvements that because NDOT had to kind of go back to the drawing board because they got different inputs. It took an extra year to finish that design. So that's something that we need to consider as we move forward. And then I think that this document needs to be used to supplement the county's transportation master plan until the next update. I think that it's really important that we update the county's transportation master plan, but that's a bigger process. You know, I think that, you know, again, I don't want to get too far off topic, but our current transportation master plan, I don't think is detailed enough. I think that what was actually in the 2010 master plan was more detailed and provided some better direction. So I think that's probably something that we need to take a look and update. But again, I mean, that involves a lot of public meetings and a lot of things. And so I want to have this document in the interim that can also kind of guide that process as we move forward as well. So the discussion for today really, you know, there's just a few key points. So one, do we want to do one position statement or do you want to do multiple position statements? How is this supposed to be? How does the board want to structure this, assuming the board wants to move forward? Should it be broken down by highway? Should it be broken down by community? Should it be broken down by mile marker? If we choose to do, I mean, it could all be rolled into one or multiple, but how should we take a look at that? I mean, we can get as detailed as we want, although I think that might not be quite what the direction that we want to move into. I don't think we want to go mile by mile and say, this is what we want here, this is what we want here. I don't think that's going to be useful. I think that having something that's more concise, that we can present to NDOT staff would be helpful, but really that's kind of up to the board as to what the structure of that should look like. And then what elements should be included? Should we have goals for speed, access management, traffic controls, pedestrian safety? I mean, what types of things do we want to put in here that are of concern? What should the process be for creating this document, and what should the duration of the document be? One of my concerns, I don't want this to be a document that we create and then we change every 6 months, because NDOT's planning cycles take years, right? So if you're changing it every 6 months, this doesn't solve anything. But should we put a duration on it that says, we're going to take a look at this every X number of years and do that. So really, those are the discussion points that I was hoping to get some direction on today from the board. I do think this is probably a multi-step process. I don't think that we're going to have a draft even remotely worked out after today, but I think we can at least start moving.
Okay, well, before I go to the board, I'm just going to go ahead and give you my thoughts right now. I like the idea of one position statement with maybe multiple sections in it, which could involve, breaking it down by highway or community or whatever. Everything on here, I agree with it, that needs to be included in the position statement. How we get there is going to be interesting, but this is the right process. This would be a valuable document for the county to have in their back pocket, so that that we can provide input to NDOT and Campo on a consistent basis. So, Commissioner Jacobson.
Thank you, Chairman Henderson. I agree. So first, just, and I think this kind of answers it, but just for my clarification, the elephant in the room to me is Highway 50, but this is not just a Highway 50 elephant. This is countywide, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's my intent. And like I said, I mean, it could be broken down by highway or community, however that works, specific to the highways in the northern part of the county and Fernley. I would want to, and this is up to the board, but I think that we should have, some collaboration with the city as to what they would like to see as well, so that we can work together with them on that. I want to make sure that we're aligned there.
Right. And then, your vision here, I believe, is spot on, Mr. Haskins, because it just seems like this will make us look like we're less all over the place, and we need to be more focused, because I've been in numerous NDOT meetings, and it seems like we're bringing up something new every time, and that's not how NDOT wants to work with us. I'm in full support of this plan.
I wrote down there is mud. So apparently that's what we're doing. Yeah, so we need to upgrade a little bit. You're right about the BLM separating every community. So every community is going to be different. I like how you're trying to get this all focused as far as one document that we can plan forward with NDOT, but I think you're going to lose on that goal a little bit, because every time we do something, unintended consequences are going to come back and bite us, and we're going to make some changes. So the changes are going to have to be there. That's why when Commissioner Henderson was talking about having the different things, I don't care if it's repetitive in each one, but you're going to end up with geographical or historical stuff that's going to change in certain districts. It could be a flood management issue that you don't want any accesses through a certain area and stuff like that. So there are going to be differences. So you're going to have to, I think even if you said mile marker 1 through 50, you're still covering every mile marker, so that at least you can go in between those mile markers if you need to. It also is going to help us guide Title 15 a little bit on some of the stuff that we're going to do on our internal roadways that we need to address.
Absolutely.
And so every future development that we have, we got to think of growing. So we got to do this plan. So I'm all on board with it. That's the direction I want to go. I want to also bring in Fernley, because I think Highway 50 does have a continued statement going up toward Fernley too, because we're not going to have heavy traffic only to Silver Springs and then die. That's going to have to connect to Fernley to get to I-80. So
I agree that this is definitely what we need to do. It not only lets NDOT and Campo know what we want to see, but it also lets developers know what we're going to expect in the future, limiting access points to all of our highways so that we don't end up with another Highway 50 on 95A. So I think it's definitely the right direction to go.
Okay. As far as the process for creating the document, I mean, obviously, we're gonna have to have some discussions. I don't know if we want to do a workshop, or we're gonna have to have some more in-depth discussions on each of these points, each of these elements, because I am gonna need to know what the board wants
and
part of this.
And I think you're missing a couple of elements that need to be in here. Economic development, because transportation directly impacts economic development. And then what we already know about our future growth patterns.
Okay.
So that should be in here again. We're expect like traditions. Okay, that's a big deal. We're expecting traditions. We know there's going to be growth there. So that needs to be something that's in our document that we can share with NDOT. Mr. Keller?
I'd also like to get some input from like our emergency management, stuff like that. Just, I hear the comment that while a ambulance can always get to the hospital, turn on their lights, there's always that 5-foot apron on the side. They can make it, no problem. Trouble we have is then they do the speed limit all the way back. So speed is a factor. They go from Stagecoach all the way into Carson, and then they're stuck. I mean, the people that need them back in Stagecoach, they're not there. So it hurts us in that matter too. So speed, definitely I want to access, man. I like everything you have there, but I'd like the emergency management to be brought in a little bit of what their constraints are.
And the sheriff's department.
How about public safety in general?
Yeah,
That's
that
what I was
would
trying to get at.
handle it.
The snowball is rolling down the hill and getting bigger.
That's all good.
That's what it does.
So I wanted to have the discussion.
Okay.
So,
The
all right. So again, going back to the process of this, I mean, do you want me to just bring an item back and at each meeting and discuss each one, speed and?
I personally like the idea of a workshop.
I do too, because there's a lot.
There's a
that we
lot.
have to get
It would
through.
be a full day probably.
I think a workshop full day, and the fact that if one issue might
Lead to another.
lead to the other thing, so you can't put one away.
Kind of like a project.
Yeah, you can't just address the plumbing. We got the electrical, we got the rest of it. So
Yeah, and then as far as your question about a duration, yeah, I think, it should be looked at least on the schedule of the master plan. Maybe even every 5 years instead of 10 years, just because how fast development can happen and how it can impact traffic. But no more than 10, I would say.
I think probably have it on a schedule where it comes before the master plan updates, so the transportation master plan could be updated accordingly.
I agree. I think that's a fantastic idea.
Too. Okay, so we done up here? Is there any public comment? Andy?
I think this should be a living document, and I think that our relationship with NDOT, whether we like to admit it or not, is kind of adversarial. We go to them with what we believe are needs, and they come back with regulations. They don't meet. I think this kind of a document would be kind of a thing up there in the cloud telling them, hey, this county supports you and they want to help. Sorry for not thinking,
That's okay.
but it should be a living document.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Seachak. Mandy Bernan has her hand up. Can we unmute her, please? Ms. Bernan, go ahead.
Good morning again. I think your document is a great idea and agree with what everybody has said. When it does go before the advisory boards, just keep in mind that even though that piece of highway may go through a particular community, a whole lot of people commute, so it affects other communities. Like Stagecoach and Dayton, their advisory boards are the same night, so you could not go to both meetings if it were just before Dayton advisory board. So just keep in mind to kind of bring it to all the advisory boards, because there's just so many people that it affects when something occurs in one community or another on a section of highway. That's all I have.
Yeah, thank you. Any further public comment? Do you need, do we need a motion to direct you? Or do you have enough
Yes,
directions?
please.
Oh, okay,
I can try it.
okay.
I move that we direct the county manager to set up a workshop to discuss a formal position statement and plan for transportation on our state highways through Lyon County.
Second.
second,
Have a motion by Commissioner Hendricks, a second by Commissioner Keller. All in favor, say aye.
Wait,
Aye. Wait, excuse me.
I wanted to- was that all you needed? Or should there be anything else in?
I think that works because we're gonna have a workshop to discuss it further. This gives me some ideas on what to prepare for.
Okay.
Okay, so All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed. So the motion passed 4-0. Commissioner Hockaday is still not back with us. So moving along, agenda request. Commissioner Jacobson.
Thank you, Chairman Henderson. I just want to recognize Chairman Hockaday. I don't know if we've mentioned, he's speaking at an ELCO function representing Lyon County. So I just want to thank him for that and acknowledge the fact that that's why he's not here today.
Mr. Keller. Commissioner Hendricks. Commissioner Hockaday is not there. I have nothing at this time. So Commissioner comments, Commissioner Hendricks. Nope. Commissioner Keller. Commissioner Jacobson.
No, I'll get with Mr. Haskin.
Okay. All right. Then at this time, well, I don't have anything to say either. This time we'll go to our final public participation. Anticipation of public participation will be held at this time, though it may be returned to at any time during the agenda. Citizens wishing to speak during public participation are asked to state their name for the record and will be limited to 3 minutes. The board will conduct public comment after discussion of each agenda action item, but before the board takes any action, do we have any public comment? Do we have a closed session? We do?
We do, yes.
Okay. Well, in that case, we will adjourn the regular portion of the meeting. And we'll take a 5-minute break and come back for the closed sessions.